Hello, I'm Dan Larson. Thank you all for being here. To all the people in chat whose names I recognize, thank you for being here again. To all the new ones, thank you for choosing to hang out with us for the first time tonight. We've got some guests on the show, so I hope you have your fancy sweatpants on. Joining me tonight, as always, co-host of the Black Series Cantina podcast, available on all your finer and not so finer podcast streaming platforms. It's Mike Kaess. Hi, Mike Kaess.
How did you know about me not wearing pants?
I sweatpants. I gave everybody the option of sweatpants. This is.
I heard
not even business casual. It's just casual.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah. No,
I'm super casual. I'm
rocking your own merch there. That's cool.
That's right. Hey, that's how I do now. I got when you got it, you got to rock it, right?
Look, if you don't promote it, who will?
Certainly not my mom.
That's how it goes. Keeping an eye on chat. She's read far more books about anthropomorphic characters than I have. It's Kate and chat. Hello, Kate. Kate's here as audio only.
Hello.
Hello. And then we've got a couple of housekeeping things I want to take care of. I want to hit real quick first here. We have Secret Galaxy has recently activated channel memberships for $1 here on YouTube. And then we added a $1 Patreon tier over on Patreon. We are doing one exclusive video a month for either channel memberships or for Patreons at the $1 tier, or at any tier on Patreon. You get those exclusive videos. Otherwise, nothing's going to change. You won't miss anything. You'll still get all your videos here on YouTube. But if you want that extra video, check it out. The video for March was the history of fruit stripe gum. For April, that one's coming up. It's the history of Youngblood. Mike, you know what Youngblood is?
This is the opposite of old blood, obviously. Yeah. I don't want to oversell it, but the fruit stripe gum was riveting. And you went in on the zebra jacket. So I was.
Look, we don't always do costumes, but when we do, we don't mess around. It's like you commit to the bit, you get it all, you put it all out there, and
it's not even a bit, it's art. It's just straight art.
Thank you. We also opened up a new store recently, secretgalaxy.shop. All of the merchandise over there is in stock, ready to ship, and that includes. Oh, are you grabbing your figure? I was going to grab mine too.
Yeah, got my figure.
The only problem with this one is it's not in stock anymore.
Yeah. Everything's in stock and ready to ship except
this. And so I want to say thank you to anybody who purchased this. They did sell out very quickly. It was a very small, very limited run of figures that we went through very quickly. I will say, if you missed it, please make sure you follow me on social media, Toy Galaxy on Instagram, Toy Galaxy Dan on Twitter. But the best option is to just join the Patreon, $2 tier or up. Patrons were able to purchase figures a week before anybody else and at a discount. We will be doing a second run later this summer if you're interested in grabbing that at some point. So there will be another opportunity, and there will probably be some surprises with that as well. Excitement in the things that we're doing. And of course, this one is SGO1. Oh, look at that. You got the print. Those are in stock. One of my prints. They don't come framed. I'll sign them, but they don't come framed.
No, I framed it.
Yeah.
I got the cheapest one on Amazon.
All right, perfect. I'm just glad you found one that fit. And it's not one of those things where there's like 2 inches on the top and bottom.
No, it fits perfectly. It's perfect. I love it.
Excellent. This is SGO1. SG is Secret Gear. That's the name of the line. SGO1. There will be SGO2 on the way on the other side of this. So look for that later this summer as well. Let's get our guests in here. Joining us tonight are 2 members of the Spero Toys team. We have, I think he was referred to as Mastermind last night on the Mad Hatter Show. We have Jason Bienvenu. Welcome to the show, Jason.
Well, hello. I've got my guy right here.
Oh, nice.
Oh, look at that.
Your name on the list. That's right.
Yes.
I shipped those out.
I love it. It's awesome. You shipped them out?
I shipped it. I'm shipping and receiving and everything here. I've been getting like disproportionately offended when people like change the parts around, even though that's the whole point of it. Like, it's
I saw the Power Glove and I was like, I got to have the Power Glove.
Yeah, I was like, I put the picture on the box tells you how he's supposed to look. Don't change it.
These are the rules.
Be displayed.
You're collecting wrong.
exactly. I'm like, I'm not going to gatekeep anything except for the thing that I made. Don't you dare throw that box away.
I did swap the head off briefly, but I was like, no, it's got to have this head. But I couldn't resist the power glove. I mean,
this head is the one. This head is the one is as close. So that's Mighty Maniacs is the brand, and this is as close as we could get to looking like the laser tag helmet because the color scheme was all inspired by the laser tag helmet. Let me get Adam in here as well here from also from Spero here. Adam, also known as Highly Articulated. Welcome to the show, Adam.
Yeah, I missed SGO1.
You got another chance later this summer.
I feel like a jerk now.
You look like a jerk, so it works out.
Where I go?
Three of us are rocking AWOC shirts. One of us isn't.
How do you know? How do you know? Anything could be under here.
That's true. That's true. All right. I want to start off here for anybody who knows. You guys have been doing a pretty exhaustive and exhausting media tour for your Kickstarter campaign. So I want to start off here with I'm going to assume that a lot of people that are here watching right now are familiar with the campaign already, but I don't want to assume that everybody is already familiar with the campaign. And the wings on it, that's fine. That's good to go.
It's got the hole in the back.
It's Glyos, and I don't want to do a whole show about Glyos, but that's the whole point is the interchangeability and all that stuff, and it will play into it'll play into the lore later on when I can get to the lore. Hopefully that's coming later this summer as well. So I got plans, I got story. You know how this stuff goes. Speaking of story, let's get into first. I'm going to play your video. You guys brought clips, so I'm gonna play some clips here. We're just gonna play. He's got the iPhone.
I don't have SPO1, but I do have the reactions.
That's right. All right, I'm gonna play your first clip. Is just the introduction to the campaign itself.
Featuring 4 all-new body types, including reptiles with
that didn't start at the beginning.
Animal Warriors of the Kingdom Primal Series 2. Featuring 4 all-new body types, including reptiles with mix-and-match armor options for the pale buck, brawlers for beefy force multipliers, heroines with a sleek athletic aesthetic, and speedsters with a more slim and agile profile. Now with pinless joints, as well as added calf-cut articulation. This campaign will have plenty of stretch goals, including head packs and action figures. Join the tribe and collect them all. Animal Warriors of the Kingdom Primal Series 2.
Who's doing the narration there?
I was gonna have that.
That's my good buddy Brandon Gary.
Okay, all right. Great clip. Obviously, that's part of your campaign there. I think that is the embedded video, right? Like right on the.
It is. Yes.
Yeah. So the campaign itself, for those who don't know, Animal Warriors of the Kingdom is it's been around for a while now. You've been developing, Jason. You've been developing the mythology for a decade.
Yeah, a little over a decade. I started on the first iteration of the comic book in 2011. I really had that a creative itch that I needed to scratch, so to speak. And at the time, the only thing that I had was drawing and writing and a little bit of time. So I went ahead and did the comic. And then after a while, I tried to do the action figures. And 10 short years later, here we are.
But it has to be simultaneously exciting and
it's very surreal. So the first Kickstarter we did for the toys didn't actually make funding. And I was bummed out for about 3 weeks. And then I was like, you know what? I actually felt kind of liberated because I was like, worst case scenario happens. So let me kind of like analyze it, figure out what people liked and didn't like. And I basically took a year to like redo the sculpts. And this was for the 4-inch scale. I think this was in 2016, I believe. Kind of learn how to use social media for advertising, like redid all the figures and everything. And the second try, we did great. We were successful. We did a couple of series of the 4-inch scale.
Before you go too far on that, the 2016 campaign, I have in front of me here because I'm a long time AWOC supporter, so I was in on the 4-inch line. Stuff. Yeah, I've got at least 10 or 12.
Look at that. That's awesome.
So this is the refined 4-inch figure from the second Kickstarter campaign. The
Correct.
first one,
Yeah.
where did you start in your sort of approach to the figures? Like, were you already trying to develop action figures, or was this your first go at action figures in 2016?
It was definitely my first venture into action figures. I've always just been in love with the medium. I remember distinctly, finishing swim lessons and going to ask my dad something, and someone had a stormtrooper on the table, and I just picked it up and I was like, I don't know what this is, but I am in love with it and I need it, and I've never ventured away from it. I did try, like in high school, not to be into action figures, but I was like,
Tried
whatever,
not to
I'm
We all
nerdy.
did that. Yeah.
I'm nerdy. I don't care. And so whenever I started the comic book, I kept thinking back to Masters of the Universe, and how like the comic book was very all the characters were compelling toyetic type of characters. And so whenever I was doing the toy or the character design, I basically designed them as toys that I thought would be, or characters that I thought would be good toys. So after I did the first Kickstarter for the comic book, I thought, well, let me try to do the toys. And, I didn't know anything about it other than, I could pull apart some figures and kind of get a little bit of knowledge of articulation and stuff. But, modern toys now, for the most part, are like several different kinds of plastic. The engineering on it's way more advanced than the 5 POA stuff that we grew up with. So it was very much, I don't want to say a trial by fire, but there was a steep learning curve. I don't think people appreciate how much kind of goes into the production back, in the behind the scene type stuff. Just like the tooling, molding, and getting different tolerances for all kind of different things on the on the action figures. I picked up the wrong figure. I meant to pick up Gambit. It's
I don't
like
think you guys did that.
like, having all this different stuff. I have a whole bunch of toys, like my recent pickups next to me, and of course I moved my Pale figure. I had him earlier, but the cat was like knocking him over, so I moved them. There we go. There's Kali.
Yeah, I've got at least 12 or 15.
Look at that
Primal Series figures here.
Man, I love the way
He
you
made
pose
me
that.
get this for this. By the way.
yeah.
He made.
You're
me buy
welcome.
this. Just,
But
You
so
have to thank him.
that's intimidating, right? Because if even knowing what I know now, I wouldn't know where to start in terms of making action figures. Like, I know there are factories somewhere. I don't know who to contact for that kind of stuff. How did you even get into where you got the knowledge to be able to actually functionally say, I'm confident enough in this to do a Kickstarter, regardless of whether or not it succeeds or fails?
I've always kind of had like this like no fear type of mentality. I'm more worried about hurting people's feelings than like taking on these big giant crazy projects. So I really had this like distinct vision in my mind, and I just kind of had to follow those steps in order to kind of bring them to fruition. It wasn't like this straight trajectory of like progress and making all the right moves and everything, but every little mishap, I learned a ton. And we've been kind of joking around about it, but like I've made really great, genuine friends throughout this whole process. During lockdown, me and Arlen and Dan and I and Utoma, we were all just like hanging out at our houses, like talking about AWOC stuff. Like, I was actually all set to do Toy Fair for the 4-inch scale when COVID just shut Toy Fair down. And so I remember kind of sitting in my car, and I was just thinking like, I like 6-inch scale. Let's try 6-inch scale. And I mentioned it to Arlen, and he was like, yeah, let's do it. And we spent like the next 6 months just like working on the first 6 figures, and then slowly building the Kickstarter. And then Utoma and I were working on the story and artwork for it. So we had this kind of dual creative parallel going to one goal for that particular Kickstarter. And it all just happened to dovetail and work its magic.
It's interesting. I went back on my Instagram to see, when I had gotten these initial figures from the 4-inch line, because I remember backing the campaign, and I remember at the time thinking like, wow, I had backed lots of campaigns. Yours was not the first Kickstarter campaign I had been involved in, but I remember being impressed by how quickly it was fulfilled and how quickly you got that stuff turned around. And I noticed that when I was checking my Instagram today, the picture I posted, the first AWOC picture I posted, was February 1st or February 2nd, 2020. And I was like,
Oh wow.
that was like the day before lockdowns and stuff happened.
Oh man, that's so crazy. And
Yeah,
I'm trying not to geek out, but that's a huge compliment. Thank you. It means a lot.
So it's neat, and I know the market has been changing. Mike, I know from the Star Wars side of things, you can definitely speak to the rift between 4-inch and 6-inch collectors.
Right.
There
We're getting a
doesn't
lot
have
of
to be
comments
one.
asking for 4-inch stuff. They're like, "Is this? Please tell me it's a 4-inch figure." And we're like, we're focusing on 6-inch right now. But I'm sorry.
Well,
go
so
ahead.
there's sort of been this back and forth, right? Like, for
Yeah.
years it was 4-inch, and then it swung to
Right.
6-inch. I kind of feel like we might be in a spot right now where things might start to be swinging back towards a 4-inch scale. I think I personally never stopped collecting 4-inch.
Me
I still
neither.
have,
Yeah.
if I see something that catches my eye, I've got some Fortnite
Totally.
figures. I've got,
Exactly.
Fresh Monkey Fiction, Boss
Yep.
Fight, Joy Toy over here, all that stuff.
Yeah.
I prefer-
Cyberzoic's looking really good.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah. I've been seeing their Instagram posts. They look so good. I can't wait. I'm almost as excited like for the little metal parts that add on to the dinosaur that can transform. I think I'm just as excited about that as the dinosaurs.
Did either of you go in on the dragons?
I did not, and I saw it
Big
in person.
frost dragon.
It's
Yeah.
a space thing. Like my his tank is still sitting in the living room, and I look at it and I'm like, "That's cool. I wish I had a spot for it. I wish I had thought about this."
Mine's right here, right out of frame.
Yeah.
Adam, I can see
Nice.
yours is in the back. Mike's is right behind him.
This is
There
one
it
of
is.
mine, but I don't
One
know where to
of.
put the other one. And then where am I going to put my vamp? Like
Yeah.
Right?
and the dragonfly, like all
Fine.
this stuff adds up. So I went for the dinos.
So this is our living room, his tank.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I should just put like a coffee book on it and be like, "This is my coffee table."
Yeah.
Adam, tell them what I did with my his tank as soon as I opened it.
Adam, what did he do with his tank when he opened it?
What's that?
What did,
What did
Jason
I do to
with
my his tank as soon as I opened it?
He put dirt all over it. He took it outside. People were losing their minds. They were like,
That's
"That's a
awesome.
collectible item."
No, just
I
like
was
your
like,
kid,
"Oh,
just
that's a
bury it in the
toy."
ground,
He's
bury it
doing
in
what
the
he should
ground,
do with it.
Forget about it for like a month, and then go, "Oh yeah, my his tank," and then go outside and
It's all like sun
dig it
bleach.
up.
Bury it in a
Yeah,
sandbox,
yeah.
and
That's
yeah,
what you do. Yeah.
So Brick's in for a Arctic dragon.
There you go.
Brick tricked me. Brick was like, "You should get in on Cyberzoic," and I was like, "I haven't really looked at it. It's 1/18 scale. I'm kind of doing 6-inch." Then I was like, "I'm pretty much all in apart from the dragon." He's like, "I kind of backed out a little bit. I'm just doing the dragon." And I was like, "You son of a."
he did the whole football thing on you with the peanuts.
Jason, I know you were at PowerCon 2023, which I think was the first
Yes.
appearance of the unpainted ice dragon, whatever it was.
Right. Yeah.
And that thing was incredible. Like the Kickstarter hadn't even been announced yet. He was still talking
looked
about it, still
awesome.
working on it, whatever.
Yeah.
And then obviously he had it at PowerCon 2023 as well, and it was all painted
Yeah.
and gorgeous and all those other pieces and stuff.
Yeah.
Just,
It's
incredible.
it looks amazing. The whole line's fantastic.
Mhm.
Yeah, it feels like such a great successor to Dino Riders.
Dino Riders. Yep.
It's funny, and I want to bring this back around to Animal Warriors of the Kingdom here. How some of those legacy brands, obviously GI Joe, Transformers, Thundercats, those things keep, people keep hitting those, companies keep hitting those.
Right.
But the two that I hear the most about that just no one's doing really anything with them are Mask. Obviously, Hasbro has the license, and I know that Ramen Toys. I have the first release of the Ramen
wow.
Toys going
I didn't
here.
realize it was that.
Yeah, no, that was the first. Yeah, that was the first release before they got some emails from Hasbro who were like, "Hey, we're concerned about what you're doing over there. Can you change a few things?" And then as far as there's Mask, and then the one I hear about from every single level of the toy collecting community, 4-inch scale people, 6-inch scale people, 12-inch scale people, whatever, it's Battle Beasts. Everybody wants Battle Beasts.
Man, you know what? I was super into Battle Beasts when I was a kid, and we moved in to my grandmother's house for 6 months while we built our new house. And as a kid, you don't realize like, oh, hey, it's going to be 6 months. And all my Battle Beasts were in storage for those 6 months. And it felt like 12 years. Like I was just like, I need the Battle Beast. And like, I remember moving into the new house and like, I didn't have a bed or anything. It was just like the movers put all the boxes of toys and I got the Battle Beast out and I was just like, oh my God, where have you been? But yeah, it's definitely left an impression on me. I love Battle Beast. I loved it at the time. I still love it. Personally, just throwing this out there, who I think Hasbro probably owns the IP, but I would love
part of Transformers, technically.
What's that? Yeah, they were
Battle
originally
Beast
Transformers.
It's part of Transformers, yeah.
So on the Takara side of things, it is Beast
Right.
Formers, it's part of Transformers. They've been doing new stuff every 5-10 years with it, changing the shape, changing the play function.
I didn't
Currently in the US
until maybe 2005 or something. I didn't realize.
Yeah, in the US. In fact, if you go back and watch PulseCon that myself and Hugh Adams hosted, there's some Battle Beasts on the shelves behind us.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and they didn't tell me anything. I asked several times, promised to be off the record, but I don't know if anything. but there are so many lines that are taking advantage of and trying to exploit the hunger for anthropomorphic characters.
Right. Totally. Absolutely.
And that's where I've been 100% hooked with Animal Warriors Kingdom. And I know that for this first series, I saw complaints that were like, yeah, but sharks, yeah, but eagles, yeah, but lions, yeah, but
of course. Yeah.
And it's like, give them support the line. Like, you got to brand new company. It's not Hasbro we're talking about.
Right. Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's very important for us to represent all those animals. And, that's why this Kickstarter is so important, because we're essentially, the last Kickstarter we did 2 different body types. We did the pale buck, which the 1.0 body, and then the big gorilla Thane buck. Now we're going to be doing 4 different bucks. We're 10K away from doing a 5th buck, which is the bird raving. I'm actually printing it right now. We should have a painted version of that figure done on Monday. We'll get it photographed. Hopefully we'll have it all loaded up and everything on the Kickstarter, because I have a feeling it'll be unlocked before we get the photos taken. And that opens up so many different kind of variables of birds. I mean, just in the Kickstarter, we've got 3 different bird characters that we're offering. We've got a dog. So now dogs are on the table. We'll be doing, depending on what the body type, we'll be doing all kind of different dogs.
It's funny because at the beginning of this campaign, I was watching some of your appearances on live streams and stuff that you guys were talking about and doing, and you hadn't revealed it all yet. You still had a lot of it was still behind the curtain. A lot of it was still silhouettes and secrets and just names and whatever. And, I'm like pulling for you guys. I'm like, oh, everybody just stick with it, because you're like, if you know the mythology, if you've read the comics, if you know a little bit about the lore, and I'm like, I've got the books right here.
Right.
I want to just start posting pictures all over the place. Like, look at all these animals in here. Everything you guys are asking for, it's already in here.
It's Easter egg galore in the comic book. So the comic the issue 1 got into comic shops on March 6th, which is when we launched the Kickstarter. And we've got a really great response. Someone emailed me. I guess they were in New York, because they tried to buy the comic at Midtown Comics and they were sold out there. And I was like, whoa, that's freaking crazy. But yeah, I mean, we're doing this press tour to really raise brand awareness, and Brick Something was just really great about setting up all these amazing podcasts that we've been doing, and we've been having a great time introducing new fans and kind of explaining the mythos to current fans who might not have read the comic book. Again, we were during that lockdown, I wanted to reboot the comic, the 2011 comic, into something that was going to be a continuing series for one. And I wanted to really kind of build out the sandbox to where if I wanted to add something that was this crazy chimera, we could do it. And, so in issue 1, page 10, you're like, oh, okay, all bets are off. This is not what I thought it was going to be.
All right. Before we go any further, you got another clip here. I did just post the direct link to the Kickstarter in chat. So if you haven't backed it, obviously there's your opportunity to go check it out and see what all the pricing and everything is over there. But you did bring a second clip, and since we're starting to talk about lore and stuff, we're gonna go ahead and queue up this other clip here. Hopefully this one will start at the beginning, but we'll see.
Fingers crossed.
That's it. Thanks. No.
I haven't watched this in a while.
I know, right?
It's so good. It's still so good.
Closer, boy. It is time you learned about your people. This is not our world, and we didn't always look this way. In fact, our people fled our original world in order to avoid extinction. Our world was dying. We had extracted almost every last bit of life force from her, and in her dying act she sought to take us with her. But we were stubborn and resilient people, and had other plans.
Other plans? But how did we escape?
We were far more advanced in that era than we are today. In fact, we had cities of glass and steel that went on for as far as the eye could see, and giant metal floating ships to travel all along our planet and even to nearby worlds. We used these giant ships that we called arcs to transport our people and the sum of our knowledge to as many planets as we could to find new suitable homes for our people. The arcs had everything we would need to rebuild and make these new worlds our own, including the building block of plant and animal life we called DNA. We thought we had figured it all out. But something strange happened to our arc right before we reached our new home. Our ship began tearing itself apart and sent us crashing down onto the planet's surface. The ship's artificial intelligence had watched us during the journey and had passed judgment on us. It remained in orbit and started altering us. The AI solution to our constant greed and fighting was to infuse us with the building blocks of life forms that lived in harmony with nature and would allow us to protect and nurture this new world. It changed our outward appearance, but not our minds and hearts. Deep down, the greed and anger of humanity still remained. And while most of us welcomed this new chance at life and redemption, there were many who refused. Their bodies began rejecting this transformation and started reverting back into our original human form.
So, I know that one of your talking points that I've heard quite frequently is the idea that your promo in here. It's not exclusively fantasy. It's not exclusively sword and sorcery. Like there's a lot of science fiction behind this.
Right. Definitely. You know, I absolutely loved what, you know, Masters of the Universe did with, you know, they'd be swinging swords 1 second and they'd jump on this stone chariot and start flying around and everyone's just like, cool, totally plausible. And I feel like the new Netflix series has gone into that and explained more of it, but I just loved it and appreciated it as a kid, where it was like, it felt like adults writing the show were all about having fun and kind of, you know, letting go of the everyday realities and troubles and just wanted kids to like enjoy themselves and really kind of harbor and foster imagination.
Absolutely. And so, like you were just saying a few minutes ago, this book came out the day or the week the campaign started, I think.
Right. Correct. Yep.
And so that is a re-release. The hardcore fans, we already have it. So
right. Yep. And it'll be easy to tell the difference. So the backs are different.
That's right.
Yeah.
Is issue 2 out?
Issue 2 won't be out until May.
Okay.
So I was so like worried about doing the Kickstarter. I missed the submission date for the previews catalog. So Dan's got issue 2 right there from the Kickstarter. We'll do the reprinting of issue 2. We'll start in May, and then we'll follow up each month after that until issue 5 is done. Then we'll begin offering them digitally again so that people can kind of catch up. Right after the trade paperback goes into, you know, hits the press, we'll follow up and offer it digitally for people that prefer that.
Here's the thing. Before I was on YouTube and we started the channel and everything, I was a aspiring independent comic book artist, writer, person, whatever, trying to multitask and do everything myself. And it's now, 25 years later where I can say, you know what, I'm not that great at coloring. I should get somebody else to do the coloring. I'm not that great at, lettering. I should get somebody else to do the lettering. The artwork in this is fantastic.
That's Utoma. He's amazing. So
Absolutely
good.
incredible.
There's not okay. So I played in a band for years, and I go back to a lot of band analogies. But like when you're in a band and you're like you're really like grooving with the other band members, and there's not a lot of talking. You're just like on the same wavelength. Like Utoma and I are so on the same wavelength that we'll like, sometimes I'll alter like a little bit of stuff, but it's like for the most part, there's like hardly any notes. It's just fantastic. Where I'm like, we'll go over the outline of the story for each issue, like certain points that need to get told. I mean, to tell you the truth, like anytime like there's an edit, it's more like, hey, I've got this joke that I want to like insert, and I need certain things in the panel to get this punchline across, But for the most part, it's just an absolute pleasure. I do color the comic book, but I mean, to me, it's kind of like therapeutic. I don't consider it like, oh, hey, I'm the colorer. I'm just like, let me take a break and color this instead of, answering emails or something. So
yeah.
sorry.
So have you?
Yeah, that's my job.
Have you found that same sort of approach to bringing this whole line to life has trickled through? It's trickled down to the rest of your business. You've been able to give the sculptor a little bit more leeway. You've been able to give the rest of the team where you can start to say, okay, I've managed to be so fortunate enough and careful enough to surround yourself with good people who you trust to do this work so that you can focus on the things you need to focus on.
Yeah, definitely. Like Dan and Arlen like really understand my design language. I actually let Dan just like go full throttle and do Jadu's alternate helmet. It won't factor in until the next story arc, but you will see when we show it off, it does lean heavily into the tech side. And then Mala's helmet, I let him design as well. And that leans more into like the kind of sword and sorcery look. But yeah, they do fantastic work. Carter's doing amazing work on the all the weapons. He hasn't actually gotten to a figure yet, but I'm sure that's not far off. And it's both a pleasure and a relief and a luxury to have that combination where, I don't have to spell every little thing out. It's awesome.
Jason Reichert, have a great night. Thank you very much for hanging out for a few minutes. And thanks you
for
backing
hopping
the
in.
campaign with the 5 figures there. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's
thank
great.
you so much.
So this image here, I mean, this is just like if you wanted to define the line for anybody, it's like, look, there's obviously sword stuff and magic, but then there's also this technological stuff. You can't. You're not getting one without the other for sure.
Exactly.
So I would like to run through some of these characters here.
Sure. Yeah.
You guys, I think you showed this figure off in person. It was last PowerCon, I think, was the first time I saw it anywhere.
The first, we showed him off a year ago, and now we're finally offering him. When we first showed this off, we didn't have the alternate head. That was like a stretch goal. So all these alternate heads that you're going to see are packed in with the figures. We were just like, it doesn't make sense to sell them separately. They're just packed in. They all come with additional hands. They're just not in the image. All these figures you're going to see are in the video it mentioned that they were pinless, but again, I just wanted to mention that they're going to be pinless. One of the things I forgot, but the video reminded me is, most of this armor is going to be removable, and guess what? It's the same body as Pale and Atreyu and Kaess, so you can slap all that armor on all 3 of those figure types.
It's the thing that has me most excited about this particular Kickstarter is wanting to have multiple expressions for the characters.
Yes.
It's like, I want to have a neutral head. I have a lot of my figures are just sort of standing in neutral positions. And so I appreciate that they do come with the neutral heads, but I'm like, at the same time, I'm like, they're animal people. They should be, I want that option.
That's one thing we heard so much that we were like, okay, this is our chance. We're going to do the alternate expressive heads. In this case, the lizards, all their jaws move. This figure right here, his eyeballs move. and the
love
little
that.
chain whip that he
So
comes with can
good.
actually unplug and go into the mouth. So, yeah, definitely
gonna say,
fun.
Kate, did you have any thoughts on this figure?
I love him so much.
You like that one?
Oh, he's so cute.
Yeah, I'm
Gresh
gonna
is
have
a
to-
funny
How
one.
many people love this one?
Yeah,
I'm-
Gresh is a funny one because he was sort of designed because we had the reptile buck. Like Gresh is in the original graphic novel, but he hasn't been in the comic book yet. And when we were sort of going through all the different figures in the Kickstarter, I mean, I was excited about this one, but as somebody that read the comic book, it didn't resonate with me the same way that some of the main character ones do.
Right.
And it's been really fun to see people that are like, I know nothing about Animal Warriors of the Kingdom. I need multiple chameleons.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's great.
Like,
It's awesome.
like Kermit the Frog.
Well,
Yeah,
right. Yeah, he's just so I know we're skipping ahead, but between articulated eyeballs and articulated ears, I mean, like, come on.
Well, so
It's
one of the
honestly-
things.
Amazing.
Go ahead, Mike. Mike, go
I
ahead.
was gonna say it's a shame he comes with an alternate head because I'm never, ever, ever gonna use it.
That's the
Ever.
thing. Is like,
I know
I
Dan's
like
like, oh, I'm gonna keep the snake guy on
Give
my.
away as a
and I'm like,
Christmas
you are
present.
not.
so I have to get.
You
at
got to
least
get two.
of
Yeah.
these.
Yeah.
Then
But
you
what
can
I
have two
love,
chameleons.
You could.
hey,
That's
look,
true.
clock's ticking on how long it's going to take somebody to paint those eyeballs white with the black pupils, so it looks like Kermit the Frog.
Oh,
Oh,
my
that's-
God.
yeah.
I would love that. I want to see it. Bring it
Yeah.
on.
So one of the things I love about this line is I appreciate that there's lore. I appreciate that there's a mythology. But for most of the things I collect, there's some kind of mythology, there's some kind of lore, and I just discard most of it. I am an action figure fan first. Mythology is like 10th or 11th. I don't really care about it most of the time. Even for things like G.I. Joe, my Snake Eyes has my Snake Eyes is his back history. I don't care what
Me
Larry
too.
Hama, you did fantastic, you did awesome, but I've got my own story for it. And all of these characters are designed so well that you don't have to know anything about it or care anything about it. You can just look at these characters and they're just interesting to look at. The chameleon doesn't have a story like you guys just said. I'm sure he has a story now, but that's not
He'll
where
be
it
in the
was
second
born
story
from.
arc.
But that's not where it
Yeah.
was born from. It was just born
Right.
from, let's make a really cool looking
Make a cool
character.
toy.
And so many people bit, including me.
Which is not the norm. So normally we do, our model is we've got an established character that's introduced in the comic book. They might be shown as an Easter egg earlier in the comic book, and then they'll get a speaking role, and then they get the toy. This was the reverse of that. And we knew that something special was going on with him when Derek and I were at ZoloCon, and people were like gravitating towards it. And it wasn't in the front. And I was like, okay, let me move this thing forward because like people are like really leaning in to check it out. And then I haven't been looking at the numbers, but Adam said it's like way up there on the fan favorites in the Kickstarter itself. So I was like, okay, that's cool. It's just I love the figure. It's just surprising. You can't guess. It's hard to guess what the public's favorite figure is going to be.
Yeah. Well,
Try to
he's got
make all bangers,
He's got two katanas there, and it looks like they both fit in Storm Shadow style.
They do,
so
yep.
That's all
Yep.
good. That's
Dan, were
all
you an
good.
only child?
Was I an only child? No, I have two brothers.
Okay, I was an only child, so like all of my characters, I would just make up their own stories, and I didn't know if that was like a norm, or I figured I would ask.
I think it's pretty common. And so my
Okay.
older brother's 2 years older than me. He didn't care about toys at all. He was
Yeah.
maybe from like age 7 to 8, he was into it.
Uh-huh.
And
Yeah.
then he was out, sports and business and economics and all that other stuff. So I I got all his toys, but I am the middle child. And so
Yeah.
that tends to be where all that you go like successful business person before, successful business person after, and like weird middle kid,
Toy guy.
Hey, I see 400,000
Exactly.
subscribers. I wouldn't say that's not a success.
We've
It depends. It's all relative.
we've also got weapons packs, which is great. I love the weapons packs. I have several of the weapons packs from the first wave of figures, from the first series of Primal figures, and I use them for other lines. There are some weapons that I like to have. For me, over here, like this has become his base weapon
cool.
for me.
Yeah.
See if I can make myself.
I
big here.
didn't think about that. That's what's fun
Yeah.
is like seeing people do stuff that I wouldn't expect. That, like, you know, people have discovered all the different color combinations for the most part. And I didn't want to just like spell it out for everyone. And I wanted them to kind of like figure out what was going to complement each item. But it's so fun to see people mixing and match stuff that I didn't expect or anticipate. Oh yeah. Every time we see Buzz Off holding that golden spear, I'm just like, yes. I love it.
Like I love that
I
he came
actually
with his.
copied that idea from you.
It's why I have these weapons, because I immediately, like, as I saw them, I was like, oh, that's going over here, that's going over there, this weapon's going over here. It's great. And so I'm super excited to see all these other like aesthetics of weapons, you know, like these crunchy, gnarly reptile weapons. Like, these are great. Those Wolverine claws. Do you guys remember Zevos at all? They were like,
oh my god, the Legos.
Zevos, they were like Stickfuzz.
Yes,
was the, like,
I had those.
okay,
I had
so
about 3 or 4 of them.
And the whole thing was the interchangeability. They had the ball
Yeah,
and
those
socket
were so
joints
cool.
all over the place. There was a werewolf in there, like a wolf
I had
character
him.
that had these like claws. You know, you put the claws in their
Really?
hands, Wolverine style.
Oh,
and so as
man.
soon as I saw those, I was like, they're back. Yes.
That's cool. Yeah, you know, one of the things we wanted to do with the weapon sets is make them feel very unique and on their own. You know, there's a couple of weapons that did make it into the figures packs, but you know, for the most part, this is, you know, a standalone weapon set that's not included, not shared accessories with the rest of the figures.
And I love the glow in the dark set too. That's probably my favorite.
Yes, that one's really popular. It's
When's
so
the
funny
translucent
because
set?
Yeah, right.
Dave, our factory project manager, he kept sending like versions that were glowing brighter and brighter, and I was like, "That's enough. It's glowing enough. It's good."
It's like illuminating a whole room.
I was surprised how bright they glow.
This simple repaint on the show last night, you guys were talking with Hatter about the color in this, and that's the other thing I hear from a lot of collectors, whether it's Pixel Dan, Fusion Veeds, any of these guys, you know, just everybody is just excited about color. I think it's appropriate that we went through this very real phase of stuff, MCU and
Right.
you know, Star Wars and GI Joe stuff and whatever.
Yeah.
But I think people are just excited to see color, and this guy in particular is just popping. Just that
He
color
really
is
does pop. You know, full disclosure, I got my degree in graphic design, so I have a particular affinity to color. I just love it. You know, before I color a figure, I usually think about different color combinations for a couple of days before I touch the figure or go on the computer. I'll kind of like, so I'll take this model and I'll see it in black and white, and I'll kind of move it around in my head, like rotate it and think like I'll switch out colors and stuff in my mind. And I'm like, then I'll hone in on one particular color. Like I'll hone in on the skin color, and then I'll move forward to the rest of the figure. And then I'll finally sit down and look through my paint collection. I'm like, okay, that's close to what I had in my head, and then kind of go from there.
Yeah, so we're gonna get a Godzilla repaint in here.
Man, that new movie was awesome. Like I had like zero expectations for it, but I loved it. I was like, this is what I needed.
I haven't seen Kong vs. Godzilla, but I did see
It was
-1.
really good.
-1 blew my mind. And I can't wait to see.
I
Kong
need
vs.
to watch that. I don't know if I want to
-1's
watch the
great.
black and white version or the color version.
Watch it both. Watch it both.
Yeah,
Watch
both.
both?
Why not? Why not
You'll
both?
want to watch it.
I'm okay
You'll
with
want to
that.
watch it twice. Yeah. Whenever it comes out and you can watch it. I'm just gonna say, and you don't have to like give me credit for this if you end up doing it, it's fine. But if you ever did want to make a translucent figure, a chameleon would be.
We have it on the radar.
option.
All right.
Just
We
I'm just
definitely
saying.
have it on the docket.
You know what
I'm just-
what I keep saying to people, because everybody has their like, you know what you should make, and everybody has like one thing that they're like, this is what you should make.
This is
All
this is
those
what we-
discussions have been had by
I'm trying
us,
to
like
spend
behind the
Dan's
scenes. It's kind of
money.
funny.
It's
I'm
good.
just trying to spend Dan's money. That's all. That's
that's
my
right.
whole goal in life.
Hey,
is
what
to
if-
spend
what
Dan's
if-
money.
What if that chameleon that was translucent was also color changing?
Yeah, hey, if the
What?
technology's out
What
there.
if?
Hypercolor chameleon.
Super 7 just put out his Artan that changes color, and
What if he was a karma chameleon?
Lino.
That's a
Really?
karma chameleon. That's
What if he was a
Yeah,
karma
the
chameleon?
Lion-O, the frozen Lion-O does that, huh?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
pretty sweet.
Yeah, this is a good example of those alternate heads on the
Just
bodies
hypothetical.
that are packed in with the figures.
Included army builder potential.
Yes. Let's hit on the big boys real quick here. We got the lion. That was also saw that. I was looking at my pictures earlier today that I took at PowerCon when you guys showed these off.
Yeah,
really
this is
fantastic stuff. And for as much as I've been following this campaign, I learned something about this figure last night, that this head, these locks here are a separate piece underneath the actual sculpted head. Because one of the things I was concerned about with that was the posability of the neck because of those, but they're not attached to the head.
Yeah,
That's
it's
smart.
I call it a scarf for a lack of a better term. It's or like a shawl. It's just kind of, it's going to be like sitting on the shoulders. Whenever we do get to their packing heads, are like not included in here, but they're like an image underneath. You'll see how where the actual head ends, and it's got a great range of motion. Being collectors and toy fanatics ourselves, we want it to aesthetically resemble and represent the comic character itself, and also find a good medium to where it looks great, and then it's got all the articulation packed into it. So this figure, even though it's more buff than pale, it's going to have the same articulation as pale, the butterflies and all the other goodies on it.
And I can tell you, holding this figure in hand, which I think is the same size.
He's slightly bigger.
This is slightly bigger.
Yeah, Thane's slightly bigger.
Yeah, very posable. As far as a figure this size,
I was surprised.
Chunk.
So looking at that figure, looking at the gorilla Thane, there was not a lot of real estate in that torso. The arms are so big that the posts that hold it, they're almost touching inside the body. It's like whenever we saw it, I was like, man, that's like cutting it close. And then we didn't think we were going to get to do the thigh swivels, but just because of the shorter legs, we wound up getting that and the double knees. I was told we wouldn't be able to get the double knees, and then Arlen managed to like do his magic, and so it wound up being way more posable than I thought too.
It's fantastic. Again, and that's another one where the color on it. I don't necessarily go for color, when I'm buying stuff. Like it's sort of an afterthought for me.
Yeah.
Color, having real bad color acuity will do that for you. It's like secondary on as far as I'm concerned. But that was one where as soon as I threw it in the booth, I was like, man, look at all the color all over this. Like, what interesting choices, like it's not just like, oh, is it dark gray armor or is it, light gray armor? It's colorful,
It's popping.
Yeah, exactly. This is another one. The shield, the gold, the metallics you guys have pulled on this stuff is really fantastic. Like,
thank you.
I know. How do I be diplomatic about this? I know that other companies have had trouble producing shiny metallic colors.
Say
for
Star Wars. It's okay. Say Star Wars.
I can't. I don't like the swirly metallic plastic. I don't know why. It just really bugs me on a existential level. So we really wanted to do a paint application. Again, I was not expecting the factory to match it as well as they did. I mean, they totally exceeded my expectations. And, this is another form of Kali. As you read the comic book, I call this his like his battle model. And I call the regular Kali his Corvette model. But that shield is able to plug into his armor, or if you want, he can hold it as a handle as well. And then that big two-handed mace, they have the butterfly joint, so he'll be able to hold that sucker two-handed.
Yeah. The other thing I want to say about this is that the skirt pieces, the armor pieces, they're very pliable. For someone who hasn't actually held one of these figures in their hand yet, the armor pieces are very pliable. Some of the parts are sculpted to them. So for instance, on this figure, this shoulder piece, that's not removable. This arm, this gold bicep part, that is just his bicep. But all these other armor pieces, these are soft, pliable, they get out of the way when you pose it. And since we're talking about the metallics, like, my immediate concern would be, is that paint going to flake off of there?
Right. No, it's good,
and I would expect it to, but we're a year out from these figures now. I can't remember exactly when they started to ship last year.
Yeah, I think they started in February, end of February. Yeah.
Absolutely no QC issues with any of this stuff as far as the things that I have received are concerned, you know. And
Did you
got a
upgrade
pretty
your
good spread
Kali
here.
cape?
It looks like it's soft goods. I saw that too.
Yeah.
We saw
Yeah,
it. We noticed.
I have a couple of
soft goods cape on mine too.
Yeah, it's just a Mando cape. I
wow,
went through a couple
what?
of I went through a couple of different, and they're custom. So I bought these
great.
from I got these from Daredevil 19 Customs
Wow.
on Instagram. So he's got
Those are
a
cool.
cape that was previously for my Mando.
Now I gotta grab
and then
mine. Hold on.
Same with
I'm not-
Atreyu. He also has a Mando cape as well.
Mm-hmm.
But I know you guys are rolling out soft goods as well soon.
Yep. The birds will be the first figures that will have soft goods.
That's good. Because I just took the plastic cape off of Kali here because I just didn't like it.
There it is.
So,
Yeah.
Eric Harker did this one. Did this Kali cape.
Harker
so you can
Customs,
see-
is that what it is?
Yeah, he's going to be doing the poncho for Raving. So
Oh, okay. Nice.
I thought this was really cool.
Yeah, I got that pop of color on the inside there.
It looks really good.
So
So
we've got more guns coming, which it's interesting because the guns that have been released so far are very like flintlock, you know,
Right.
Like blunderbusses,
You
and
know?
then there's
Yeah.
like a rifle.
crossbows, you know, bow and arrow, that type of stuff. But this is going in this is more Star Wars. Now we're getting Star Wars,
Definitely.
you know.
Now we're getting into the Star Wars.
Right. Excellent. And I have absolutely no complaints about that. I'm very much looking forward to that. This guy has just been lighting things up. Everybody's excited about this dude.
Mhm.
I like his shotgun. He's at the shotgun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Why not?
And he's
Why
got
not?
the
Yeah.
that little the shotgun holder on his arm will be removable, and so will the armor on his chest. So if for some reason you just want a shirtless bulldog, you're in luck.
But that armor, I was gonna say that armor piece is removable. And you can I don't know, does that body match anybody else that's being released? Size
So
wise?
that is the same body as Kali Prime and
Okay,
Hannibal.
yeah, that's right.
And the Void, but the Void's got serious like secondaries added to him. So we'll just stay those other ones.
Right. So these are the alternate heads for those 3 larger figures. And again,
Right.
these will all be packed in, correct?
Correct. These are going to be included with the figure.
I love the
And nobody-
cigar. I love.
Yeah,
that
yeah, nobody's
cigar
gonna
so
take that
much.
head off.
Yeah.
That's just gonna be on there the
Yeah.
entire time.
I'm totally going to put the cigar head. Like I want the cigar head as my main head for the for Grimes.
Yeah, for sure. Ladies
now
was this was a big want from people. I got tired of
Mhm.
seeing the question, so I'm sure you guys got tired of seeing it.
Yeah.
The first year of the
When
line.
will we get the women? There's women in the comic book.
many?
Let's see the figures.
And they're so important to the comic. It's kind of like,
Mm.
you know, you don't have a Princess Leia. I mean, or it's kind of like, come on, you know.
Well,
So
yeah,
we're
and that's
super
where the-
excited to finally be offering these characters.
Yeah, that's where the sort of economics and the logistics of
Exactly.
making a physical thing and whatever.
Right.
You know, it's tough. It's got to be more frustrating for you than me, just as a casual observer who has nothing invested in this whatsoever. But I watch a lot of Kickstarters and I see the conversations that are happening, you know, just having a survey of the whole landscape of this thing. And I get frustrated because there's so much that goes into this. My figure was a pre-made mold. All I had to do was pick out paint colors, and there
Right.
was still logistical stuff that had to be taken care of. There's no original
It's-
sculpting I had to do. There's no factory I had to pick out. Like, there's so much to it that I just don't think the average casual toy collector person really, and they don't have to. They don't have to
I
have
kinda-
that knowledge.
It's like you almost want them to, but then you don't want them to. So, you know, I mentioned I was a graphic design major. I almost majored in film, and like one of our assignments was like, just see how many cuts are in this 2-minute segment of The Matrix. And like, I stopped enjoying the movie, and I was like, okay, I don't want to do that. So we don't necessarily want to like go into or like speak too much of what's going on behind the curtain. But it is a very, you know, logistical, challenging process for every single SKU that we're doing. You know, like this figure, it's got totally different accessories. It does have some same body parts, but, you know, and that's the thing. Dave Proctor is a fantastic project manager. You know, my files tend to be, you know, organized to an extent, but like Dan and Arlen kind of tease me because they get they start off organized and then they kind of like go off into the weeds a little bit after a while. So it's good to have someone that can kind of rein in the madness and get everything organized and finalize into an actual action figure.
The behind the scenes stuff is funny because I always think the same thing. Like, we would love to sort of share all that stuff, but you know that like collectors would be like, yeah, cool. When do I get Jessa? Like at the end of the day, it's like they just want their action figures, and so it's sort of
and
like,
you can blame them.
Yeah, well, absolutely. That's the reality, is that collectors want toys, and the other stuff is cool, but for the most part, it's like, give me my toys.
Yeah, on this one,
Definitely.
I really felt like you guys got some pushback from the community. You know, why are you even doing a Kickstarter? You're obviously a successful business at this point, and that's where like I kind of wanted to step in and I was like, I don't have time. I don't have time to take care of their business. Let them run their business. It's not my responsibility. But I wanted to just sort of like shake people and say, like, you got to understand a little bit about how this stuff works. Like, there's so many Kickstarter campaigns that I've watched where, you know, they'll introduce 2 molds and that is like 68 different pieces, you know,
right?
Like,
it's big.
It's so much, and to add another body type, it's like, just look back at every other action figure line you've ever collected. Like, you need to get multiple uses out of a thing, to start to build up that bank, that reservoir of like funds, so then you can start to think about the future. So let's get it to that second campaign so they can start to roll out the female characters and the bigger characters and all that other stuff.
This Kickstarter, you know, I kind of look at it similar to like the scope of like a HasLab, who's obviously established company. You know, they're Fortune 500 listed on the stock market and everything else. But when they have a big giant project, they do a HasLab. You know, we started right out of the gate with 4 different body types. Like, that's a substantial investment and undertaking to do. So, you know, as we're going through the Kickstarter, I hope that it makes it more clear to, you know, people that might be wondering why we're doing the Kickstarter, exactly how big the scope of the project is. And like you were saying, you know, now that we've got a female buck, it's like, you know, we add feathers and a bird head and some bird feet. Now we've got a female, you know, figure. We could do the same with like a lizard figure. Adding on those secondary parts is it's so much different than like starting from the ground up. And again, like, we're going to get a ton of dogs now. We're going to get a ton of lizards now. So, you know, it just really just expands our part library so much to the point where we can just offer tons of new stuff for a couple of years at least, you know, and we'll be able to do like a one-off figure that's like a completely new mold every 3 or 4 waves. And it won't be such a big undertaking like this is, because it's one sculpt.
People kind of lose track of the fact that the first Kickstarter was effectively 2 body types. It was, you know, that one, you know, that you're holding there, and then Thane, the gorilla. This one, we you know, started with 4 with the potential to do 7.
Yeah.
So when people are like, why are you doing a Kickstarter? We're like, molds are expensive.
Yeah.
That's
like, and look, for whatever concerns people have about, I don't know, there are ethical issues with Kickstarter. Some people have. That's fine. Crowdsourcing, whatever. I get it. But the small companies, you know, your 4 Horsemen started there. Marauder Gunrunners started there. Boss Fight started there. Like, the goal is not to just live on Kickstarter forever. You know, the goal is to become an independent business. But I think people get confused. And, you know, when I am speaking to people about Kickstarter campaigns that I'm excited about, I try to remind them that it's not a pre-order system, right? This isn't Big Bad Toy Store. You are investing in a company because you want this company to succeed. That's the kickstart in Kickstarter.
Right,
you know?
Exactly. Yeah.
And you got to be careful. You got to do your research. You know, I have invested in some Kickstarters that never fulfilled, and I'm still
we all have.
Still a little heated about it, but that was the risk I took, you know?
Right.
And then I'm just that much more careful going forward. And so when I see companies that are doing well and that are succeeding and that are pushing design, like, I dare you to find a smoother articulating figure than Animal Warriors of the Kingdom. There's nothing smooth.
Thank you.
Smooth and solid. I just want to make sure I showed off Derek's custom here.
Yeah, I just messaged him. Man, I love that custom. It's so fun.
good. It's just brilliant to pull the arm from the 4-inch scale figure, technically
Right?
what, like a 5-inch scale figure.
Yeah.
And just plug that right in, the shoulder part as well, and the little eye patch bandana. Really fantastic. I'm honored to have that piece in my collection. It lives
so
with all of
cool.
my other Animal Warriors of the Kingdom. I'm going to blow through. I want to try to keep this as close to an hour as possible. I'm going to blow through some more of these characters just because they're all so good, and I still have so many more favorites in here. We've got the alternate heads, or I should say helmeted heads.
Yeah.
For these characters. This head in the middle here is, you guys were explaining on the show last night, a mask. It is not.
Yes, she's definitely wearing a mask.
This isn't a Five
It's not a
Nights
robot.
at Freddy type of thing. This isn't the skin torn off to find out that she's a robot underneath. Unless you want it to be, you can play with your
Yeah,
toys
you
however
do
you want
you.
to. Yeah,
They're
don't
your
let me tell-
toys. You do whatever you want with them.
Don't let me tell you how to play. We've got Kanji here, which is just amazing, just absolutely amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kate.
Kate.
Those ears move.
The ears are articulated. There's alternate heads that we should be hitting here in a second.
The arrows are removable.
Arrows are removable. I'm going to definitely give him the 2 katanas from one of the Greshas that I have to buy.
Yeah.
I like that.
We were talking about him the other night, and we decided that he looks like the bunnies, the baby bunnies from Robin Hood if they grew up.
Oh my gosh.
Oh,
he was
yeah.
so cute.
Yep.
So I had chicken pox in 2nd grade, and I had a VHS, and the only thing that was on it was Sleeping Beauty and Robin Hood. So
Yeah.
So good.
I watched those 2 on repeat for like a week.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's funny how many people have from that era have that story. What were the 2 things on the tape that you could watch all the time? Yeah.
Prince
Mine was-
John wishes you a happy birthday too.
Exactly. Yeah.
Totally. And then here you go. Here you go.
there,
So-
there we go.
Yeah.
So Kate was saying last night when we were watching and we were looking at these figures, she wants to take this head and put it on
Yep.
the body more
that's
like
a good
this.
idea.
Yeah.
Big Robin Hood.
Idea. Yes. Oh my gosh. I think I'm gonna have to do that too with my personal figures.
This guy's just great. I mean, Star Fox, Robin Hood, whatever you want to call him, Boone. It's all
So
good.
fun.
So good. He's
He's
your
got so
Han,
much
Han
personality.
Solo. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's
so-
it's not immediately obvious, but like Boone and Grimes are partners. They're pirates, but they're sort of a duo. So it's it's a fox and a hound.
Mhm.
It's Han and Chewie. It's like they're sort of that that very sort of easily identifiable trope sort of at work there, which is going to be awesome. And they look, when we had the prototypes on the table at a couple places, when you put them next to each other, they look so good together.
I really want to do a one-shot comic just of them, just to kind of do like a little, not an origin story, but just kind of like a little buddy adventure that has that doesn't, it's in the same thing, but like it's not tied to the main story.
Those,
And again,
those little hand grenades.
Yeah, we've got a smoke grenade, a poison thing, and then a whatever you want, a little bomb thing, grenade.
This is a quad crossbow.
Yes, it's hard to see
Why
in the
stop at
image, but
one?
it is a quad.
Just crank it.
Yep.
Fire them out. Yeah. So I love it. And it really, I think Final Fantasy is another one of those that's like it's the arcane, it's the magic
Mhm.
with
Mhm.
technology, and you're like, wait, that guy's got a machine gun arm. Why does this
Right.
person's using magic? Who's going to win this fight? I don't know. The guy with the giant katana. I don't know. We'll see.
Of course.
Yeah, it's all good. Everything is just so here's our alternate heads. Yeah, that smirk is perfect.
I'm going to
God,
use
that's
that
great.
head. I'm painting it right now. I actually prefer this head. I feel like it's a little bit more representative of him in the comic book. So in the comic, he's like the rookie of the team, or they treat him like the rookie.
This I'm a big
There you
fan.
go.
So
Yeah.
very big fan. And
You
so
don't
this
like
is
clear glow in the dark stuff, do you? I didn't know that.
I've got a few pieces, you could do that if you wanted
videos
to.
about it.
Yeah, I was gonna say if you want it, you can do the whole line like this, and
Yeah.
I'll buy them all again. That's fine.
That Crystar was insane. It just came out of
It's so
nowhere.
good.
I was
It's
like,
so
oh my
good.
God.
Absolutely shocked. I tried to steal the one at PulseCon, but they had it locked down. Like,
Yeah.
I had asked a couple people, like I had told
Who
a
could
couple
blame
people
you?
I was gonna steal it, and then the one guy who
Yes.
was responsible for it I was like, I can't get him in trouble. He's a nice guy. I wish he'd been a jerk, then I would have had no problem.
Right?
I think Dan's up to 5 Chris stars now.
That's not true. I've still only got 3.
Okay.
Don't get me in trouble. So this is the sculpt for the Raving here. Absolutely gorgeous.
I think we're less than. I think we're 8K, a little less than 8, a little more than 8K from unlocking this guy. So hopefully, when we wake up in the morning, this guy will be unlocked.
Yeah, you're at 251.5 right now. So hopefully, yeah, almost there.
Yeah, and he's got, so the people were asking about gripping feet with the first wave as well. So the birds will be the first figures that come with gripping feet.
Do either of you have
mandolin? I'm sorry. Does his mandolin turn into a bow and arrow?
It does.
Yes, it does. I have the doodle here. I almost threw this away yesterday.
See you later, Mike.
I was like, I almost threw it away. And I was like, let me just hold on to it just in case. But I was like, how funny is that? Like, it's a comic relief character, you know, but it's like he's got to be good in a fight every once in a while. So let's turn his little loot into a bow and arrow.
Okay. Well, I've got to pre-order $8,000 worth of things so that I can.
There you go.
Pre-order.
You'll thank past self.
Yeah. Well, that's why you passed on the dragon from Cyberzoic.
That's true. That's true.
So this will be the first soft goods. Should it get unlocked, right?
Actually, the other figure, Raven's missing the coat.
Raven.
This is going to be sculpt. This is going to be a sculpt. So the other figure has a poncho that kind of goes over his shoulder. Hopefully, we'll have images of that in the with the prototype figure.
And another key point you guys mentioned last night: once the campaign ends, in the backer kit, all of that is going to still count towards unlocking this stuff.
Right, for General Mamba, yeah. Well, I mean, right. Like, Right. Now, a lot of people are asking about, they want to just back it now before it officially unlocks. We've just been letting everyone know, go ahead and back for $89 and just select no reward. Or if you want, you can add $89 to your existing pledge. And that way you're essentially guaranteed whenever it's in backer kit, you get the $89 price point, because these are all discounted prices in the Kickstarter itself. And once the backer kit surveys are done, then everything will revert back to the standard retail price.
Yeah, and that's really been the driver for me, is trying to decide. Like, I know based on how many figures I have from the first batch of characters, I know I'm going to want all of these. So it's like, how much money do I want to spend now versus how much I'm going to spend later if I don't get in now with the best price?
Yeah,
it's tough. It's a tough call. Prophet 924 asking, were you going to do simians with gripping feet in the future?
That's the plan. Now that for the longest time, we would get the requests but no one was explaining what they wanted. So whenever the last person that mentioned it said they want the feet to be able to hold the weapons, that was like the last little bit of information we needed to bring that to fruition. So we implemented it with the birds, and then whenever we start offering, when we do like a re-release of Pale or another ape character, we'll start offering those packed in feet.
Speaking of Robin Hood, this guy is straight out of Robin Hood,
right?
It's all good.
Even with the axe, the executioner was a rhino in there. So.
Oh yeah, he was, wasn't he?
That's right. You got to get a
little. And I think a hippo was like playing the drum, the little for the execution.
Yep.
So all this armor is going to be removable. Both the hippo and the rhino will have removable armor. That hippo is going to have a functioning jaw, and they'll all have a little bit of tattoos at some part of them. The rhino was a little bit more obvious. The hippo will probably have like a bicep tattoos on it. Someone suggested a tramp stamp, but we said no.
I'm happy to
You said no.
I said no.
I said, let's do it.
Do it.
You were like, no, maybe we'll see.
Absolutely fantastic stuff.
Thank you so much.
Just gorgeous work. Obviously, all the hard work you guys have put into it shows. I'm just fast forwarding through. I think that's actually the end. I'm going to go back to the beginning here where we had some of the price breakdown stuff. Let's do this. Let's take this out. and then I'll do this over here, and we can talk without it. Obviously, the campaign's going on now. It ends Wednesday. I think it's the 17th at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So definitely, if you are interested in pledging, definitely go check that out. Bring this back in here. This is a quick breakdown. You can pause this later if you want to take a look and really check out all of what the value is that's built into these different plans that they have here. I went through and I had initially pledged, I think, for 3 figures, and then you kept unlocking stuff, and then more people were pledging and more stuff was unlocking, and I was like, all right, well, I was like, I got to do the math now, because I think the 5-figure pack plus the reptile weapons is a better deal to buy it that way than to go with the 3-pack that includes the reptile weapons and then add the 2 figures on. There's some math in there you're gonna have to do to find the best deal.
It confuses
we
us
did
to some extent.
to each collector type.
Yeah, so just go through and as far as the process of managing your pledge goes, you select the one thing and then you get to add everything else when you advance to the next screen. And you can go back in and out and mess around to figure out the right pricing structure that works for your budget to maximize the number of figures you want to get out of there. So
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. All right, I'm gonna pull this out here. And anything else you guys want to say specifically about this campaign, and what anything else people should know? I know you guys have must be exhausted at this point. How many shows you guys have done? You got any other shows coming up?
We have one right after this. I on the last, I think it was the last show, I said we're kind of like the toddlers that are like having an insane amount of fun but don't realize that we're tired yet, So I think I might sleep for 2 days after the Kickstarter's over. Yeah, I say that, but we'll see.
Yeah. Somebody's gonna need a nap.
But yeah, we've been having. Thank you so much for having us on. Brick Something has set up all the shows for us, and he did that amazing animated comic and the voices and everything. And thank you to my whole team. We all are amazing. Love you guys. And if this is your first time backing a Kickstarter, you do not get billed until the last day of the Kickstarter. So there's no real need to kind of like wait to back. Go ahead and pick out what you want now. And just kind of sit back and enjoy watching us update the Kickstarter with reveals and updates as we kind of go into the last 48 hours of it.
Excellent. Thank you to everyone in chat for hanging out tonight. Thank you, Mike Kaess, for being here. Please go check out Black Series Cantina podcast. Get yourself a hoodie like the one he's wearing now.
I want one.
I assume you've got links to those in your
for sure,
all over the place. Perfect. That's how you do it. Because if you don't put up links, I don't know how people
can't
are gonna
find it. They don't buy it. Yeah,
they're gonna try to find your house.
Yeah,
see if they can find your stash. Thank you, Kate, for keeping an eye on chat.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Thanks, Kate.
Thank you very much to Jason and Adam. Please go check out the Kickstarter campaign. I'll put the link in chat again here real quick for anybody who hasn't seen it. Campaign does end this Wednesday, April 17th at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you haven't backed it, if you're in the position to throw some money at it, please consider backing it. If you are already backing it, thank you. And from everyone at Animal Warriors of the Kingdom, Spero Toys, and selfishly from myself, because I would like as much of this stuff as possible to get unlocked. Thank you very much. Have a great night, everybody. Do it now.
I need that bard now. I need the bard bird. I need a bard bird.
Do it.
Bard bird. Yeah.
Bard bird.